Welcome to the Heidi Thorne Show. I'm your host, Heidi Thorne, and in this podcast, I share my real-world self-publishing and small business experience with you. So let's get started with today's show. Now, we're going to address the topic again of original book ideas. Now, I had put out a podcast, some blog posting and whatnot about that earlier, and I did get a little bit of static and feedback from some people about it. They were concerned that people were stealing their book ideas, and some of them were very, very concerned about getting to the market first. So, are these concerns warranted? Let's repeat again. Your book idea cannot be legally protected. In the United States, book ideas or any artistic ideas can only be protected if they are in fixed form. That means they're on paper, they're an electronic file, it's an artwork. It has to have some physicality to it. And there's some logic behind that. Think about it. If we had to protect people's ideas that were going on in their head, how is that even possible? At least not with current technology. Maybe one day in the far off future, but right now, that would be really hard to do. Okay, so there is some justification for getting your book into a fixed form and out into the market quickly. I understand that. But here's the other side of that. If you are concerned about being there first, that means that you think that others also have the same book idea. So that means your book idea isn't that original. You are just one of the many, and you just want to get there first. So don't confuse originality with being there first. And your book idea is probably not that original. You know, the old saying, there's nothing new under the sun. Well, chances are that your book idea is a variation, interpretation, explanation on something that's an existing storyline or topic. Now, there was a book in 2004, The 7 Basic Plots by Christopher Booker. And basically the premise was that all stories revolve around a basic plot line, or these 7 basic plot lines. So where the originality comes in is your interpretation, the settings, the characters, and the details that you bring to that topic or storyline. And when it comes to nonfiction, the number of topics is vast. And there's really only a few plots in that arena too. It can be a historical account, your opinion, critique, how-to, research, analysis, showcasing some work, like photos or art books. And well, let's just take a fun example. Okay, chocolate chip cookies. Okay, now your chocolate chip cookie recipe might be amazing, but there are thousands of chocolate chip cookie recipes out there. So it's your interpretation of it that makes it original. And they're not going to be clamoring for your original just because it's original. Okay? And like I said, they have lots of options out there. If you want to see how original your book idea is, you just go to Amazon and type in your topic or your genre, and I will almost guarantee that you can find at least hundreds, if not thousands, tens of thousands. I found it for all my books. There's one that's really original, but let's just talk about being super original. Let's say your idea, let's just say in the world of all worlds, that your idea is super original. We have the unicorn problem then. Now, unicorns are really, really difficult to market. If you've ever watched the show like American Pickers or Pawn Stars, and you got these people coming in because they have a one-of-a-kind item. And the show's hosts are like, yeah, not interested, because they don't know how to value it. There's nothing else on the market to compare it to. And buyers, whether it's somebody like the show's host who are buying it for resale, or the actual buyers of the item directly, they don't really know how to value it because there's nothing else to compare it to. So they don't know if they're getting ripped off or it's a real bargain. So it's just very difficult for that. And I think we also have to think about the situation that I've heard a couple of times in sales. Remember, I came from a sales background. And so in some of the sales training, there's the what I call the no shoes story. And the story goes that, you know, there was a company that was trying to sell shoes. So they were trying to open it up in a new territory in a country that wasn't as advanced as like the US. And so they were trying to sell shoes. So they tasked 2 salespeople to go to this country and try and sell shoes. So the one salesperson says, hey, there's no shoes here. People aren't wearing shoes. There's no reason for us to bother with this. And then there's the other salesperson that says, there's great opportunity because nobody has shoes. We could sell all kinds of shoes. Guess what? You know, I'm not a lazy salesperson, but the first guy was right. You cannot change people's minds about things. You know, oh, you know, I'm going to create a new market niche. I'm going to be the first one. Do you know how hard that is? It is super hard to do that. It takes a lot of money and a lot of time, like years. So I hope I've given you some food for thought. And if I have, I would really, really appreciate it if you would rate, review, and subscribe to the Heidi Thorne Show on Apple Podcasts particularly, but I'm also on Spotify and Stitcher and Podbean. And you can listen to Apple Podcasts now on your Alexa. So use the Apple Podcast skill on Alexa if you want to listen to my podcast there. Of course, I'm on YouTube, and you just have to subscribe to my Heidi Thorne YouTube channel, and make sure you turn on the notification bell or whatever the settings little icon is at this point. Turn those on so you know when a new video comes out. Also, please share the podcast with your friends on social media. And my books, my self-published books, are available on Amazon, Audible, and Apple Books. So all you have to do is go to Amazon, Audible, or Apple Books and type in my name, Heidi Thorne, and my author page will come up with all of the books that are available for sale there. If you would like to connect with me, my website is very simply HeidiThorne.com. Thank you so much for listening and for your support. I'll look forward to talking with you again in the next episode. And in the meantime, have a great day.